not the way to start another day. And sadly, it's going to be like this for at least another 48 hours, maybe even more. But it's not supposed to be raining yet. That's why we have the boat uncovered. It's not supposed to happen for another couple hours, so I think this is just a passing sprinkle. But for that, we're going to take advantage of it. And we're going to come out here and we're trying not to get any water in the microphone like we tend to do every time we film outside when it's raining. We are going to go ahead and clean this boat out. We got a couple days. I think the gas tank's supposed to arrive today. That's another sad situation. I mean, that thing could have gone in today. I think I'm going to let this shower pass, and then I'm going to grab my hose here and we're going to clean it out. And I guess it'll have 2 days to still stay damp and whatever, but at least it'll be cleaned out. And I'll be ready for the next phase, when and if it happens. Our sprinkle turned into a downpour. I guess you could say we're saving water, except for the fact that we're on a well, so this is pretty much all our water anyway. I guess we just don't have to pump it out of the ground and shoot it at it with a high pressure hose. Some simple green, royal purple, and a big old scrub brush. They really don't look a whole lot better, but it is a lot cleaner, that's for sure. We swept up about a pound of crap, and that ain't what went out with the water either. So yeah, there was a lot of junk just floating around in here, and now it's all gone. We're all ready to put decks down. And again, it needs to be ground. It has a lot of stuff stuck to it, like that's fiberglass over there. There's some fiberglass down there. I don't know what they were doing, but it doesn't need to be there, and we'll be taking all that off. But right now I'm just trying to use what little break is left in the weather to get it dried out as much as possible, and then we just got to leave it for a couple days, I guess. Gas tank's due today. Let's see if that shows up. FedEx is here. You know what that means? I'm shocked. Sadly, like I said, we have 2 days of rain ahead, but it arrived. These Allmands, for some reason, have like enormous gas tanks in them. I mean, this one carried 100 gallons. This one's got, I figured, between 55 and 60. It may actually be a 50-gallon tank. I'm not positive, but either way, 50 gallons for a 19-foot boat. This one here is 40 gallons and should be plenty, because I have absolutely never filled up that boat. I mean, 370 pounds or whatever it is worth of gas in that boat. That's like carrying 2 full-grown adults, and I mean big adults. Let's open up this guy and see what's inside. Well, you would have thought they would have did a little cleaning. This is why it went so cheap. It smells like some old gas. We'll have to get that out of there, and we'll have to scrub it down and turn it back into its original color. Which, that's why we got the hose out for. Well, even though it rained, we got our cleanup done, which is a plus. Worked with the weather, I guess you can put it that way. Our gas tank has arrived, and man, did it look terrible, but take a look at it now. Looks a whole lot better. I don't know why people do that on eBay. I mean, it really didn't take that much to clean it up. Yeah, it's good to go now. The sending unit's already come in. We already got the hoses, everything else. Glad we did the cleanup a few days ago. With it raining, we can't leave anything in the boat, or outside for that matter. I don't want to leave my trash can outside full of, you know, dust and stuff and fill up with rain. I mean, that would be bad news. It'd be a big globby mess. So everything has to come in the garage, and with that means we're packed in once again. So we'll probably make a Home Depot trip, get this all prepped up and ready to go. Yeah, we'll continue on as soon as the weather allows. Well, it's cold, nasty rain out, but we did make a trip to the Home Depot. Got ourselves some golden lumber here and a bunch of patio blocks. We'll be using them in the future. On a day not fit for a duck. Man, it's really nice to be inside, I'll tell you. It's only 50, maybe, with driving rain. It's a bit chilly out. Definitely not jet ski weather, that's for sure. We're going to go ahead and tie up some loose ends. Just made our trip back from the depot, spending some of the kids' inheritance. So what the hell. And get prepped up for what we have coming up once the weather breaks. I guess we really did need a rainy day. We had to catch up on a few things. One, of course, was the Home Depot trip earlier to get a couple pieces that we were missing for this install. And two, we had to do a couple things to the actual tank to get it ready. One, of course, yesterday was cleaning it out and cleaning it up. And today was getting it ready. Including, we had to get out our brand new rated fill hose. We're going to use garden hose for vent. I know a few people out there are going to go, garden hose, what the hell? Well, the reality of it is, every boat that I have restored has had that for vent line on the gas tank. Don't ask me why. Monzas, Novas, Donzies, Larson, Biesmeyer even, the Beezy from 1959, garden hose. It's just, it is what it is, and it works, and it's fine, and it's cheap, so what the hell. We got our new sender in. We got a ground wire attached to this guy. Just in case it's a little harder, I wanted to make sure I got all the screws in with Loctite before we actually put it in the boat. This one will be a lot easier. The positive line for the sender will be a lot easier to get to. We also have some hose clamps out here ready to go. We've got some brackets over here ready to go. We also have our clamp aids, of course. Clamp aids are what goes on, the hose clamps, so they don't cut you to shreds. I know it's a little hard to see right there, but that's a scar from a hose clamp. So I am a stickler for these guys. And while we're looking at it, this was a bit of a bear. The pickup here, of course, has 1/4 inch threaded for a fitting. Well, they took the hose off, but the fitting was just crumbling. And when I went to take it out, it broke out inside the actual aluminum piece. Can't really heat these guys. You can't really do a whole lot. I mean, it's attached to a plastic tank and it has a plastic tube that goes down to the bottom. Long story short, drilled it upside down with my shop vac. Got all the bits and got out of it, and then basically threaded it with a piece of tube, brass tube. Just back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. I soaked this guy overnight thinking that maybe I could just pull the whole thing right out. And it should come right out. But it's not going to. No, it's going to break off. I know it is. I put a lot of torque on it and then I stopped. And what I fit inside that fitting is, of course, a 1/4 inch tube. And I know a lot of people like to use these barb fittings, these guys here. The problem with these is, this is about as big as one I've found for 1/4 inch. And look how small that is. That's a heck of a difference. So I always use these. I just take the threads off the one side. Make sure it's barbed up enough to where the hose will grab it. Use 7/16 inch fuel line. It's good to go. And in the process of that, I've started to pull out the pieces I need to do a filter system, which will go pretty close to this. That's why that line is real short. The bulkhead that we saw on the floor is right about here at that point. So I figure this will be mounted on the stringer over here somewhere. Which this line is plenty long enough to get all the way out to the next, probably down to the fuel pump if needed. So that's where we stand at the moment. Yes, we did need a rainy day. And this has got us pretty caught up, ready to go. Problem is, tomorrow's also going to be a rainy day. Let's see what happens. The gas tank is out of the garage. There's tools out all over the place. There's lumber out. And the sun's out. Start of another day. We're just loosely fitting in our tank right now, just trying to figure out where and how and why we want it to fit where it fits. Figure we're gonna push it back. It looks a little lost in that big hole, but yeah, it's only 10 gallons less than the last one. It's just weird. I don't know what the deal is, but maybe it just fits better, I don't know. But either way, we got some wood to cut up and some bracing to get in and make this thing permanent. Okay, I built this special box here made of pressure treated lumber for the gas tank to sit in. And then I put some slats in, all pressure treated also. And I'm going to have it bedded in basically liquid nail. So those slats will stick to the tank basically, so they don't rub on the tank or cause any issues. And I think now I'm going to try to put the tank in. It was a bit tight. I had to knock a little bit of this edge off just to make sure it would fit over this way. See how it works out. Nice. Double thumbs. The tank is officially in, and let me clean up some of this mess first. Oh, wait. That's better. Alright, our tank is installed. Took us a little longer than we thought it would. We had to adapt to the situation, so to speak. One was the tank shape was a little different than the hull shape was. I don't know what it came out of, probably something a little wider, a little flatter, who knows. But that's why we had to build the cradle. And then of course I built the whole box around it. And then I got this bright idea is, why do I want 2x4s to go across the top? You know, just invade this space that you are supposed to use the hatch to be able to get to the sender, to the other stuff air. With 2x4s there, you're obstructing the whole hatch thing to be able to access this area. So, and I built myself some aluminum brackets. Under those aluminum brackets, I went ahead and I put some rubber. There's a reason I always pick up old mud flaps when I see them on the side of the road, and that's one of the reasons. In the process of that, I thought, you know, I've got this space up in front. Why would I want to waste this? I mean, I already think this space up here is totally wasted. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could store up in there, and there is absolutely no access to that. That's something to think about in the future, but I was thinking about this area right here in front of the gas tank as being maybe an anchor locker. You know, you're only going to use a small anchor anyway, so I went ahead and I put rubber across the whole thing here. And that way the tank's actually protected, and most of the time your line would be in the bottom and your anchor would be sitting on top anyway. And it's one of those things, if you don't do it now, you're going to really regret it later. So I moved the tank as far back as it would go. It's going to help with the balance of the boat. Trust me, I know these boats. Anything you can put towards the back, the better. Along with that, it leaves that space up in the front for future use. Like I said, all you need is a hatch lid or something, one of those little, you know, hatch lid things. Screw screws in. You can drop a little small, you know, day anchor there, and the rope and everything that goes along with it. Because there really isn't a whole lot of storage in this boat, so that will work in the future. So with the tank installed and everything cleaned up, I guess tomorrow we'll start putting in the first layer of deck. Starting another day, and of course today is deck day. Went ahead, just thought about it overnight and looking at some old film and such. I decided that I didn't like how much support was right there for the deck. It ended up being a 31-inch span. That's a long way. We went ahead and put in our pressure treated 2x4s on their side, of course, and when they're glued to the deck, that'll all become part of that. The opening for the deck needs to be about 14 inches. That's about 18 inches. It gives me a little room up underneath to tab in where I need to tab in at. Yeah, I think this is going to help out a little bit over time. The first sheet is in, and it went in like it should have, and that's a surprise because that doesn't always work that way for us. Went ahead and put it down some construction adhesive, all the stringers and all the gaps anywhere where their cabosil or such didn't make it. We doubled up, tripled up, whatever was necessary to make the gap, and then set our board down in place and weighted it down with a bunch of patio blocks. That way we can get it sitting on everything and it can just stay there overnight. Pried up what was left of the inner liner around the edges here and went ahead and mixed up some resin with a whole crap load of fiber and a little bit of cabosil to kind of stiffen it up a little bit. Pried all those edges up, shoved that up underneath of it, and then let it come down and smash it down, and then I went ahead and I put these blocks on it. So that's pretty much the way it's going to stay. Next is I'm going to do a little bit of tabbing while I still can reach it. I can reach up underneath of this one here, underneath of here, especially when I tab in the edge, because I don't want it to sag down here in one corner or in the other corner. And I even have a little brace up holding it up right now, so I want to make sure I want to get some tabbing in there to hold that up. And then we're going to probably leave it set overnight and go for the next board. Well, another day is over, and we did reach our goals of getting the 2 boards down. First one was a bit tricky, I gotta say. It had to be tabbed in basically around the edges, and that slowed things down. And then we had to get these all tabbed in. That also slowed things down. And yeah, it's just one thing led to another, and the rest of the day just kind of flew by. One thing we did do is go into the 19 over here, my 19, and made a lot of measurements. And one thing we did figure out is that they are different. And it's only a couple inches, but it's a couple critical inches. So we're gonna have to work on that as the boat progresses, because the motor box here is 31 inches wide. Well, this one over here at one point, it's only 26 inches wide, but as it comes up, it widens out in a half horseshoe, and it ends up being 33 inches wide. So yeah, there's a little bit, and that helps with the exhaust manifolds. But again, the way it works out with these, it's kind of tricky, but I think that the exhaust manifolds will come above the stringers, in which case they don't need to be that critically the same size motor box. But I do actually have to get this horseshoe cut out, so I needed these measurements. I also need to figure out where motor mounts go, because once the deck plate is back in, it's kind of progressing back. We need to finish the deck off, and then it's time to take the top off. So the best plan is just let these guys sit up overnight, let them sit, let them sit, let them sit. Tomorrow we'll come and feather everything back in around the edges and start all over again. Not the way to start another day with our hose and such. Yeah. Glad we did the cleanup a few weeks. Yeah. Glad we did the cleanup a few days ago. These other boats give enough to fade in. One more time. One more time. One more time. One more time. Let's do this again. Pause. Yeah. And let's do this again. Of course, we've got our fill hole. Let's do this. All right, one more time. All right, we ready? And last but not least, no, let's do this first. And what I feel, do they do anything like in support, and do they need to be returned back? It's the start of a new day. I fucked it up. Okay, and a 1, 2, 3. How about we do this again? It's not working out. Come on, focus. We did get our accomplishments.